Okay, I think that means we're live. Yeah, all right, cool. What's up, everybody? My name is Jaxler, and as you can see on the screen, this is Neopets, the Darkest Faerie for the PlayStation 2. I am joined by Monster on the mic. What's up?
Hi. Woo.
All right, so now you might have scratched your head when you saw this game on the schedule, and mostly due to name. What this game is it's a 3D action adventure game, kind of not unlike a Zelda game, but for the PS2 and set within the Neopets universe. This game is really, really cool. I recommend you try it out. I'd like to apologize to people who have played this game before, because this is one of those types of speedruns that um, kind of makes the game look a lot worse than it actually is. But I promise this is actually like a really sick game. But
Yes.
get ready for some shenanigans. I'll just put it lightly. But yeah, time starts on new game. So I'm ready to go on time. I'll start counting from 3, and we'll start timer on go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, and we're off. So the game might have looked like it froze there for a second. That's just the game thinking really hard. Don't worry about it. It's a PS2 open world game, so it's doing its best. So we're gonna start off the game controlling our first of 2 playable characters, Tor. He is a loop type of Neopet, and he is a sword wielder who really wants to become a knight. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is fall into this hole while holding down L2. L2 is like a combat strafe. But the reason why we hold L2 there is because normally when you approach a ledge, similar to a like Ocarina of Time, the game will attempt a auto jump in order to help you, try to do its best to help you, essentially. And that's really slow,
Yeah.
so holding down L2 will let me cancel the auto jump feature.
You may have noticed that when he fell into the hole, he fell like really fast. Like, I don't know, like there was bricks of lead attached to his feet. And this, I'll explain why later.
But yeah, like any traditional Zelda game, this run starts off with a forest escape. So I'm gonna jump up here, turn around, no look, grab the ledge, and now we are out of bounds. So right about now, you're gonna see me fall really far. And now we're just gonna keep walking for a bit. So now
Yeah.
normally at the start of the game, you're supposed to do all this tutorial stuff, and it's really slow and kind of boring. But we're gonna kind of do this cool bit. Monster, if you kind of want to explain what's going on here.
So basically, when you're out of bounds, if there's no floors above you or below you, then there's basically it'll just say that there's a floor at y equals 0, and you can just walk there. Now, in the distance, you can see a bit of transition geometry. So this game always loads 2 areas at a time, an exterior and a transition. However, while both are visible and have collision, only one of them has its loading triggers activated. So when Jaxler stands on a bit of floor, the loading triggers wake up and cause the next area to load in, which is happening right now.
And then I'll jump through this wall and it'll put me back inbounds, past Farm Road. So not only by
Yeah.
doing that do we skip the intro sequence, but we also use that trick that Monster mentioned to trick the game into unloading Farm Road so we don't get teleported back inbounds too early.
Yeah. So Farm Road can only be loaded in if the transition is activated. And since we didn't actually activate the transition, we were able to just walk right through the loading trigger and nothing happens until we actually touch the transition geometry.
All right, so now that we're through the tutorial sequence, one issue that comes up is that we skipped the first weapon that we acquire in the game, which is the wooden sword. Similar to how Twilight Princess opens, you are given a wooden sword by the patriarchal figure of where you live, which in this case is Tor's dad. And then you're asked to deliver a parcel of some kind to the castle town of this world, again similar to Twilight Princess. You'll see a lot of Twilight Princess comparisons come up. This is basically furry Twilight Princess.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the game, we skip having to herd animals, and herding animals is also a thing that gets skipped in Twilight Princess. By the way, I should mention that this game was released an entire year before Twilight Princess. That's like something that's very important to know. So another thing we're gonna skip is that some kid gets lost in the woods and we have to find her. That also happens in Twilight Princess. So that's something else that we skip.
Yeah, we like to jokingly call this game the highlight of Twilight Princess because similar to how Highlight ripped off The Legend of Zelda NES a year before it was even finished, this game rips off Twilight Princess in a similar fashion. So right here, I'm going to grab the first of several motes in the run. This is a leaf mote. I jumped into it to skip a text box, and then now we have entered Meridell. That was actually a really good opening to the run, so pretty good
Yeah.
opening split. Um, so someone mentioned this in the chat, and you might hear a awkward lack of music going on right now. Now, your intuition is correct. There should be music playing right now. But because of all of the shenanigans that we did to get out of bounds, sometimes the music just does not load properly. I think right now the game thinks we're still in that Thieves Cave that we went into to grab a little mini side questing for some money. So you might hear a bit of reverb and echo when you hear Tor with the footsteps. That is why. So you'll hear some audio for me skipping these dialogue boxes, but you won't hear any like some audio will be missing until it gets reset by a full motion video cutscene coming up here, which unfortunately we have to skip because this is a speed run.
Yeah. Which is really a shame because the full motion video cutscenes are amazing, and you should absolutely watch them.
Yeah, they're especially yeah.
It's also a shame that the music doesn't play because this game has great music.
Yeah, and it's really cool too because there's a lot of like music that actually is on the disc that never made it to the final game. If you're interested in listening to some of it, you can find it on Monster's YouTube channel. If you look up Monster 860 on YouTube.
Yeah.
You're welcome for the plug. All right, so what you're gonna see me do right here is take an intentional drown warp. So as long as there is a predetermined location in each map, drowning in water will take you to a set location. Otherwise, it will just force an instant game over, and it really sucks. But we use that right there to skip a little bit of backtracking. So the chest that we opened and the golden rose that we delivered to the prince earlier were to give us extra Neo points. We needed 500 in order to buy the Squire's sword right over here. And something I just did right there is something called the text jump. Do you mind explaining what that is, Monster?
So basically, if you jump and then hit a text box, the text box, when it's over, will put you back in a standing state and you'll be able to jump again. However, when you walk, that's actually completely independent of velocity. So you can walk while having velocity and you'll go at double speed. And if you hold L2 while running and you have some velocity, the velocity from jumping will actually be added to the velocity you had before, meaning you get double speed for a short while.
All right, so now we're going to be heading into the first of a couple of arena fights. Now, in order to beat the game, we have to do at least one in order to acquire a shield. A shield is required to beat the game. But we are going to go through all the arena fights here. Now, this one is a bit annoying because we don't have a shield just yet. But I delay a combo there to try to I'm trying to delay my combos here to manipulate him into doing a poke into my rib cage. That's the faster of the two attacks that he can do. And then you're also going to see me threaten the old lady here, who runs the arena. That just nudges me closer to her, which allows me to talk to her a bit faster.
Yeah.
So now we got a shield. So now we're going to do some really cool stun blocks with something called shield canceling. I'm going to focus here for a second. So, Monster, if you wouldn't mind filling in, that'd be great.
So basically, when you do a 3-hit combo, the third hit, actually, you have to wait a little bit longer after the third hit to actually initiate the next combo. But however, if you hold up the shield and then put it down, you can actually do the next combo even faster. So basically, you're canceling the last hit, and you do it faster.
Yep. And now coming up here is a bit of a weirder fight because we can't exactly stun lock this guy. This is the Sludgy. He is a monster in this game who is literally a pile of poo and acts kind of like one too.
Wow, are you calling me a pile of poo?
No, I'm not calling you a pile of poo. I'm calling the Sludgy monster. All right, I'm gonna go for a quick 3-hit. Okay, he ducked. That's wow. So I'm trying go for manips that will... Oh, come on. Ooh, broke Tor's neck there for a second. This is really bad luck. Please unfreeze me. There we go. That was bad luck. But what you want to try to do is you can hit him with a 3-hit combo, strafe a bit to the right, and then get another one in. But he really did not want to play it nice today, which is, it's fine. It's a marathon.
Yeah.
So now this next fight, this one is probably the hardest of the arena fights to optimize. This next guy is really, really easy, even though he's like a mid to late game enemy. With this skeleton knight, you're just going to be seeing me do 3-hit combos with shield cancels again, and he really doesn't put up much of a fight, as I'll say in just a moment.
Yeah, if you actually read the text, you'll notice that this guy was actually revived from the previous arena champion. So yeah, I guess the arena players were just a lot less skilled back then or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Coming up here is the last of the arena fights, and it's a bit scary if I'm not careful. You're actually not going to see me shield cancel here, because for whatever reason, if you're not... Monster, it's like frame perfect, right? If you're not frame perfect with your shield canceling.
Well, maybe you have like 2, maybe 3 frames, I
Yeah.
think.
For whatever reason, after a 3-hit combo and you shield, it will trigger this guy to try to block an attack. So what I'm going to do instead is do a 3-hit combo, bait him to start it. Uh-oh. There we go. So I bait him into attacking, which allows me to break his guard and get a faster cycle there. A little bit scary, and that can go pretty wrong if you're not careful, but we're doing just fine.
Yeah, and that was another one of those text jump boost thingies.
Yeah, depending on your angle, it can give you more or less speed. So that one's a little bit tricky, but I just like to go for it for swag. So the whole reason we did all those arena fights was to make this pit stop right here. So give me a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And one of these guys, that's not a potion of Red Bull, that is a potion of power and potions of Mirka speed, respectively. And we'll explain what those do in a bit. Off of these guys right here, you're actually going to see me not go for text jumps off of them, because that loading screen always happens right there. And if you try to talk to them, the game will just hang for a couple of seconds, and it's a bit slower.
Yeah, basically whenever you talk to someone, a sound plays and it has to load that sound off the disc, and if an area is being loaded, then it can't also load the audio at the same time, so the game hangs for a little bit.
Yeah, so at this point in the game, we're supposed to do some quests to become a squire, do some official paperwork. As Monster mentioned earlier, you'd have to go and save your sister from the woods. There's a ton of stuff in this Act 1 portion of the game where we start out as Tor. What we're going to do is sequence break to a very late portion of the game in Act 3. Now, normally you're supposed to be able to enter areas adjacent to this in Act 1 as part of some Squire quests. But I'm going to go for a frame perfect trick here. Let's see if we got it. Oh, first try. Let's go.
Ooh. Yeah, so you'll notice that before doing that, he jumped and landed on like a flat bit of ground. That's because in order to do this trick consistently, you want to start off at a consistent Y position, and jumping does that. So the reason that doesn't cause Tor to drown. So in order to drown, you actually have to get within 0.08 feet of a special type of floor that causes you to drown. However, it's actually possible to stand on the floor if you're within 0.1 feet of it. This means that there is a very narrow window where you can stand on the water without drowning, and you can end up in this state by doing a sword slash into the water on the exact correct frame.
Okay, so this looks good so far. Mustard, you kind of want to just explain what's going on here? There's a lot going on right now.
So what's going on is he's going around this bit of geometry. When then next he's going to touch this bit of transition and it will activate it. And now he's going to wait for Cogham steps to load in. Then he touches it to activate it so that the next loading trigger that loads the Abandoned Mines transition is activated, and then that's loaded in. Then he goes around this thing, and then it goes into the Abandoned Mines transition, activates that, and that loads the Abandoned Mines itself.
There we go. Oh, and we got money from the pink crystal too. That's very lucky. These pink crystals in the mines have rare drops that can range anything from extra of these potions of Mirka speed that I'm using to potions of power to some rare motes, which we haven't exactly explained yet. What the money will let me do is in Act 3, it will let me buy an extra potion of Mirka Speed. So that's a very good drop to have. Now, this is an area of the game that we're not supposed to have access to until a good chunk into Act 3, where we're supposed to save all of the villagers of Coggan Village. Okay, we're just going to get another speed potion in endgame. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Not really helpful, but swag. Anywho, normally what you're supposed to do in this section of the game is go around and save all of the different villagers. But it turns out that for whatever reason, if you just make your way straight to the boss of this area and just jump right to him, all you need to do is save the mayor, and it will count as having saved the whole village. And that really doesn't make any sense, but it just works for some reason. A little bit of a damage boost right there. Those minecarts, for whatever reason, do not have a very big hitbox at all, so you can kind of just phase right through them. And now I'm going to be going for a quick kill on the Ixie Chieftain here. This is going to involve a bit more of shield canceling. However, the window for this stun lock is actually rather tight, so I'm going to be a bit quiet here.
Yeah.
Good position.
Yeah, if you're a bit late, what happens is the Ixie Chieftain will jump up, and then you'll miss some of your shots, and it won't be as fast.
Yeah, and then it could be kind of hard to recover and put him back in the stun lock. So that's basically what you want to see. So that was pretty good. So now you might be wondering, why are we even coming out here in the first place? And there is a subcategory called, well, I'm not going to spoil what the name of the subcategory is because I don't want to spoil the joke. But technically speaking, if we really wanted to, we don't have to come here. But there is a certain pickup that we get for doing this part of the main quest that is going to be very useful to us. So we've gone ahead and saved the mayor. So mash through here with square, and we're good to go. And this will put us just outside the mines. And now we can go return to Coggan Village and pick up our reward. So at this point, it's just going to be backtracking back to Coggan Village. I'm going to be picking up a couple of motes, which we'll explain what those do a bit later. It's not super important right now. But Helix, I'll throw it over to you if you've got anything you'd like to read right now.
I have one donation. There's $5 from Anonymous who says, Jaximum speed, Jaximum power.
Up gamer!
Yay!
Oh no.
I'll shout out you, Jax. Y'all should go check out Jax's stream. I know you haven't seen the whole run yet, but I promise it's worth it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess we can kind of explain what these motes do. So motes basically apply elemental buffs to your weapons and armor. So if you put it on a weapon, it'll give you an elemental damage boost in some element category. And if you put it on your armor, it will resist that element. So I used the Leaf Mote to deal some Earth element damage to some early game enemies. And these Nova and Supernova motes that I picked up have perfect coverage against every type of Neopet, or, well, monster in the game. So as a result, those that we picked up are going to be super useful later on. And now we've returned to Coggan Village. And so our reward for having saved all of the villagers' lives is another potato sack. So this might not seem like a lot, but it's going to be extremely useful for breaking the game here in just a bit.
Yeah.
You'll actually get to see it in just a sec, but another text jump off the shop sign right there. And then you're also seeing me hold L2 here. So you saw me hold L2 to avoid auto-jumping earlier. Sometimes in the level geometry, there's just parts of the slopes that will cause you to automatically jump. And you actually move slower mid-air than you do when you're on the ground. So for example, I'll be holding L2 as I fall off this ledge to preserve my running speed. Monster, do you want to explain what this mega jump is?
So basically, when you take off the cloak, there's an animation that plays, and the screen fades out. When the screen fades all the way out, oh, you didn't do it correctly. I'll still explain. So when the screen fades all the way out, the game has to load in a new model for Tor, one that is Tor not wearing the cloak, and this takes time. So during that time, Jaxler can buffer a jump input, and then once that thing ends, the cloak thing, it will jump, and then the cloak animation will actually reset the player's state just like a text box right after the load happens. So basically what happens is you jump and immediately get kicked out of the jump state, but you still have the velocity from jumping, so you can jump again and get double the upward velocity, which means optimally you can jump 3 times as high as a normal jump.
Yeah, so what I was trying to use that there for was to skip that sort of walking across the bridge animation. But unfortunately, I was a bit too close to the trigger, so I ended up beefing that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take another Drown Warp right here. Our next task is to go to Illison's Glade. Now, in order to beat Act 1 of the... Okay, interesting. Talk to both of them somehow. But in order to beat Act 1, what you need to... the end goal is to do a quest in Illison's Glade. Where Illison's Glade is getting attacked by a group of creatures called wereloops. And you need to save Illison to snowball the game's state into a situation where you can enter Meridell Castle and enter Act 2. But we're supposed to do a whole bunch more quests before we can do that. So we're going to do some sequence breaking to get into Illison's Glade a bit early. Going to pop another potion of Mirka speed here. And since we probably won't have a good time otherwise, Monster, this is probably a good opportunity to explain what a ledge fly is.
So basically, if you walk really slowly off of a ledge, what happens is you fall off, and that animation actually has no gravity at all during the very short time that it happens. Now this is technically a frame perfect trick, so let's see if he gets it first try.
Hey, there we go. Nice.
Yeah, so the frame that's perfect is actually like half a second long, so it's really easy, and that's because, like I mentioned earlier, it has to load in the model of Tor not wearing the cloak. So basically what happens is when you jump and end up back in that standing state, you have the upward velocity and like forward velocity.
Ooh.
And when you end up in the standing state, you can actually fall off the ledge. So both of these will happen at the same time, and you'll fly through the air, basically.
Yeah. Something I also did to get up to this treetops area early, that was just a pretty straightforward up warp, similar to what I did at the beginning of the run. There's a part of the platform just sticks out that lets you do that.
Yeah, you'll notice that Jaxler grabbed the ledge. That's actually very important. That sets the gravity to 0.3 and makes it so that this ledge fly will actually go up instead of down. Basically, gravity in this game is not constant. Normally when you're walking around, the factor is set to 1, which is 32 feet per half second squared. You'll notice I said half second, not second. I'll explain why later. But basically, the multiplier is 1. When you jump, it gets set to 0.3, but the frame after you jump. So you need to have it set to 0.3 before the ledge fly happens if you want the effects. But what happens is normally when you land, it gets reset back to 1. But if you grab a ledge, then it doesn't get reset, and you can use that 0.3 in ledge fly, which is great.
Really good Narfus fight.
Yeah.
So something I tried to do there, I got a little bit of it. But if you hit Narfus a certain way with a multi-hit jab, which is when you fail a 3-hit combo, it can damage him multiple times, like multiple frames in a row, and that just lets you like destroy a giant chunk of his health. So that was actually a really, really good. This is like a really good run so far. So doing that fight hits a crucial story trigger that will allow us to advance to Act 1. If we go to Meridell Castle right now, the game will still think we're trying to become a squire. So it's very important that we did that. Now, something you'll see me do right here is go over here to grab triple striped neg. Okay, that's incredibly lucky. I grabbed a new collectible for the first time in order to reset my ledge fly. Certain cutscenes in this game will just cause you to no longer be able to ledge fly until you do certain actions like pick up an item. Next coming up is a rather complicated sequence of events that I'm just going to let Monster kind of explain.
Alright, so first, you might notice that the sky has turned purple, so this is kind of like Twilight Princess's Twilight. It makes all the characters go crazy. Anyways, what's going to happen here is that Jaxler's going to activate the transition here. That way he can actually go to and load in Meridel Plains. And the reason we need to load in Meridel Plains is because from there we can load a transition that has a loading trigger that we want.
So I'm going to be looking for a very specific visual cue here. You'll see the screen potentially jitter right about, come on, there. And then I up warps roughly around here. Wait for that platform to load and run down.
So at this point, we could go directly to the loading trigger we want. However, the loading trigger is in the transition, and the transition is not activated, so nothing will happen. In fact, we're walking through loading triggers we really don't want to go through right now, which loads Meridel, and that's like bad. So if when he hits that piece of geometry, luckily there's like a narrow gap where Meridel won't be loaded in, and he can go toward that spire, which has like a loading trigger that the developers left in for some reason that loads the Meridel Castle courtyards.
Yeah,
which
so,
lets us get into the castle early without having to go through
Yeah, you'll
mines.
see the screen go black. That means we hit the trigger successfully. And I actually did it a special way, which put me out of bounds, so I can just run straight to the door. That was really clean. All right, I'm just going to let you explain this next bit, Monster. This is really, really hard.
So basically, he does a ledge fly off the bed. That way he can get to the trigger he wants a little bit faster than he would doing it normally. And after that, he's going to do another ledge fly off of an ottoman. That ledge fly is like really hard. It's like literally the killer of runs. But like, he does that, and it takes him directly into the loading trigger that ends Act 1.
Yeah, we like to jokingly call this collapse skip, because this is like a collapse sequence similar to Ocarina of Time. Oh, come on.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Yeah, that might work.
Yeah, it gets even harder if you actually are still under the influence of the potion.
We got it. Okay, we're in. Whew. So now normally what you do when you do a ledge fly is you actually want to hit circle to attack with your sword, which causes you to decloak. Because I knew I was about to get hit, I actually, getting hit will also cause you to uncloak. So I actually used that to my advantage right there, to avoid taking a big hit there. Or to avoid missing the fly there. That was pretty good. Again, that is like by far... Monster, you'd probably agree that's probably the hardest ledge fly that we do.
Yes, that is the hardest ledge fly.
While the inputs themselves for ledge flies are pretty straightforward, it's like how you apply them that can be really tricky in terms of doing speedruns of this game. And it's also just a really fun trick to do. Now, we're in Fairyland right now, so this is Act 2. We now gain control of our second major character, Roberta. Now, she's a spellcaster, and we haven't learned this yet technically, but she forgot her wand at home, so we're going to do a couple of errands in advance to grab some component parts to build ourselves a wand. You also saw me pre-select in the moat menu the location for that fire moat. We're going to have to use a fire moat for a mandatory tutorial later on once we reach the library. And by pre-menuing it to it, it just allows me to menu at a more convenient time. Oh, Roberta, please jump. Thank you. That slope can be a little bit weird. But now that we're in Act 2, unfortunately, the inventories don't carry over. The two characters will actually reunite at the end of this act. But until then, we're actually not going to have access to the Cloak of Heroes quite yet, which is a bit unfortunate. But this is a nice chill part of the run after probably two or three of the hardest splits in the whole run, which is the Narfa split, getting the Castle Rung warp, and then the collapse sequence. Collapse sequence probably being the hardest. But we've got a bunch of dialogue to mash through here, and then, believe it or not, because Roberta, the character we're playing as, is actually the niece of the King of Brightvale. She actually starts out with a bit of money, as opposed to Tor, who is absolutely broke. So that's actually enough money to purchase 2 potions of Miracle Speed conveniently from the stand right near this cutscene. So 1, 2, and then keep on walking. We're not going to use them quite yet because that tutorial sequence is coming up in a little bit, and we're going to save those potions for the movement. Now, you're going to see me grab a couple of extra motes here in my stay in Act 2. There is a puzzle at the end of the game that requires one of each element mote, not including Nova motes. So I'm going a little bit out of my way in certain spots to grab random motes, just to make sure that we don't have to grab a slow extra.
Yeah. If you don't have the mote, then the game will give it to you, but it's slower, so you don't want to have that happen.
That was weird. Okay. So now Cerator is gonna say, "Hey, you forgot your wand." So now we know how to use a wand. So now we target a book. This book can actually troll us a bit here. So this is a charge attack. We only have to charge it up a tad. Now we do rapid fire. And then he gives us a free fire mote, which is actually pretty important for that puzzle later, which is kind of funny. There we go. We got a nice book. That book can really troll you if you're unlucky. We also get a free armor upgrade for absolutely no reason.
Yes, and that actually causes a little bit of lag, which is bad, unfortunately. Nothing we can do about it. So earlier I mentioned that gravity in this game, when it's full, like not the 0.3 gravity, but full gravity, is 32 feet per half second squared, and not 32 feet per second squared. That's about 4 times, exactly 4 times as powerful as real gravity. So the reason it's per half second squared is when the developers were coding like the physics for the game, they coded it assuming that this game runs at 30 frames per second. This game actually runs at 60 frames per second, not 30 frames per second. So technically, all the physics runs at double speed, which is amazing.
So we're going to be heading off to our room to catch a brief wink of sleep. But Roberta is going to touch the bed and then run a bit through the door during the cutscene. Yeah. And then now the Darkest Faerie is going to start to take over Fairyland a bit here.
Yeah.
Ow.
Yeah, for some reason, when in the code, having the cutscenes prevent Tor or Roberta from moving is optional, so I guess they decided to let Tor and Roberta move, which is great.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
We can get a bit of extra time.
Yeah, this bit is rather straightforward. We're kind of going from required bit to required bit for right now. So Helix, you've probably got time for like 1 or 2 plugs real quick if you want to poke in real quick.
If you'd believe it, I don't have any new donations. So I will remind you all that Able Gamers is a registered 401c charity. So if you live in the U.S., your donations may be tax deductible.
What?
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 What just happened? Are you? What on earth just happened? What? What? You're joking, Gabe, right? Oh my god.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck in here, unfortunately. You might need to load up the mod or find a save file.
That has never happened before.
Yeah.
What is that, like the 6th never happened before this marathon?
That is extremely bad. Yeah, this is a soft lock that I have never seen before.
Yeah, load up the mod, I guess. That's all I can say.
Give me just a second here. That's really, really bad.
So while Jaxler is restarting his game, I'm going to mention. So basically, the area that he mysteriously teleported into is actually right above where he was before. So that's probably what happened. Oh yeah, I know what happened actually. So sometimes there's actually seams where little tiny areas are out of bounds, and he probably accidentally ran into one.
I've literally never seen that happen before. That's
okay. When you load up the mod, open up the zone map in this area. I'm curious, and zoom in like really far. Okay, that's probably gonna lose a lot of time to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if right now is the best time, but like,
for what it's worth, we did pause the timer. Obviously, that doesn't mean go
I mean
slow.
the run's basically invalid now, which is really sad because that run was actually -24 on world record pace. I'm just gonna stop the timer on my end because it doesn't really matter. But we're loading in some kind of hacky doohickey stuff, so don't mind us. I wasn't prepared with a safety save there because I've literally again never seen that happen before.
yeah.
Oh, man. That's
So-
really annoying.
Yeah.
At least you know people saw it, I guess.
Hopefully this file I can. Well, wait, that. Oh shoot, that file will have a sword. That's kind of obnoxious, isn't it?
Yeah, this file, he gave himself the most powerful.
Wait,
oh
no, wait,
that's
he's
just
got
a
the
regular
regular
sword. Awesome.
Right? Okay. Okay. Do not pay attention to the man behind the mirror.
Yes.
Okay. So should I just go straight to Act 2 then?
Yeah. I guess you can load the end of Act 2, and then after that, you can probably give yourself the wand and then load yourself directly into Fiora's Palace Gardens.
I'll go to Fiora's Clock Tower because that's where we were headed next. And then I'll try to give ourselves the amount of resources we should have had.
You're gonna do this part as Tor?
What do you want me to do? Oh,
Yeah.
there we go. Oh, I have access to a bird for some reason. Interesting.
Maybe this is a save file from an all bosses where you defeated the Werewolf King.
It could be.
Alright. You're gonna have to be careful though. If you shoot something, the game will crash.
Well,
because you are holding a no wand. Okay, give yourself a wand.
Yeah,
that
I
works
can do
too.
that. So what this actually is a it's Magic Twig, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's what the starting wand is called.
Yeah, so we're kind of back to where we are. I'm gonna do some brief things real quick, in order to sort of get our state back to the stuff we should have right now. I know this is really kind of dumb, but so fire mode.
You gave yourself 1 instead of 100.
Oh, right. That will do.
Yeah.
Give item. We need a wind mode, and then that will be 100 of that. And then that. Yeah, I know this is a bit cheaty, but we're trying to get this back on.
No, we don't blame you.
I guess I'll just plug that I wrote this mod, so that's...
Yeah, Monster wrote this entirely of his own volition.
Yes.
And this is publicly available too, and is an amazing practice tool. I cannot stress that enough. This really like revolutionized. I don't want 100. I just want 1.
Yeah, this mod even has some Easter eggs in it. For example, it will sometimes oh or ooh you.
I should probably have everything we need. So I guess you can start the timer again if you want to. But this is where we should be now. So that should fix everything. And luckily we still have game audio. Thank God my capture card isn't being mean. But this is where we would have been if we didn't clip out of bounds somehow. Monster, we might actually need to look into that later. That might actually end up being useful for something.
I mean, I think I already know how it happened.
Shandra, think.
I'm just saying, there is probably like a tiny seam in the floor, and you walked right into that seam.
That's so bizarre, though. I wasn't even at hyperspeed. Ooh, I'm also missing a piece of armor. I just realized.
I mean, the slower you walk, the more likely you are to have that happen to you. So what happened is probably he went into like a tiny little seam between two floors, and since he was not standing on a floor, it looked in the transition, and there was a floor in the transition which was above him, and he got teleported up.
Yeah, welcome to this game in a nutshell.
Yes.
I'm just so glad that was like a marathon thing and not like an actual PB attempt, because I probably actually could have PB'd this run, but oh well. Maybe I'll just have to grind the game a bit more.
Yeah. Marathon luck.
I guess I have extra miracle speed potions. I guess that's fine. I can correct that once we get to Act 3. Because we should have roughly 5 when entering Act 3. So we'll make this work. So now we're just kind of hitting mandatory triggers.
Yeah, that guy's not supposed to be there. That's just an artifact of us cheating.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But yeah, if this like hat pack and like a lot of this like game so far looks really interesting to you, it is a really easy run to pick up. And again, all of the practice tools are freely available and are relatively easy to set up. I have like a full suite of tutorial videos on my YouTube channel if you want to learn how to run this game. It's a little bit out of date with some of the new stuff, and with setting up some of the newer hack pack features. But you can always reach out to one of us for help. Anyway, now we're going to be escaping Act 2 by taking a special secret passage in a cutscene that we did not show. The normal exit here got blocked off, and so as a result, we have to take this magic staircase, and it has a puzzle in it where in order to escape, you have to follow the direction the statue's hand is pointing. But what you can do is if you watch like her character model sort of stutter there for a second, that's what the game uses to detect if you've gone far enough for each segment of the puzzle, which lets you skip a couple of rotations around.
I should mention, the cutscene that just played and then Jaxler mashed through has torture with hot irons. Remember, this is a game for children, and it has cutscenes with torture in it.
Very spoopy.
Yes.
Alright, so now hopefully the game... Yeah, okay, cool. So we're in Act 3 now, so we should be good to go for the rest of the run.
Yeah. Oh yeah, minions also are supposed to spawn here, but since we cheated, we skipped the part where it makes the minions spawn, so yeah.
Yeah, this makes this ledge fly here a lot more free than it should be. But I still got the perfect angle that I need, which is great. But I forgot to grab myself a couple of extra potions that I had before the game decided to softlock me. It's 50. Oh, one of these, and then I just kind of at this point want to emulate what the run should look like, if it makes sense. I feel like I have too many. Oh well. Yeah, I definitely have too many. Well, this will be slightly awkward. So I'm gonna reset my gravity right here. Go for a mega jump up here.
Don't you want low gravity, not high gravity?
I want high gravity here because this setup lets me get a ledge grab most of the time. I missed the ledge grab, unfortunately, which usually puts you in the right gravity. But now I'm gonna be, I'm actually gonna, since I don't want to waste too much time going for it, I'm gonna skip a strat that I would normally go for here, and we're just gonna run. So believe it or not, Act 3 also happens to end in the same sort of general location that Act 1 ends in. Now, normally Act 3 is the super long and involved series of events where you have to go to each individual town and save them, do their thing. We already did one of those with saving Coggan Village, but doing the rest of them is really, really slow. It turns out that the last in the series of quests involves going into Merida Castle, and we already have a pretty good setup for skipping straight to that. So, Monster, I'll just let you go ahead and kind of explain how this setup is a bit different.
So, basically, we're doing the same thing as in Illisen's Glade. We're going to the same spot. We're just going to walk right through this wall because it has no collision. We can't walk to the left because there's water there, or a collision. So through there, and then we just do the same thing as last time. So one thing I should mention, so during Act 3, in the story-wise, your goal is to get Fiora's Rod, just like how during Twilight Princess, you're supposed to try to get the Fused Shadows. And later on, the Fiora's Rod is going to be stolen from us, just like how Zant steals the Fused Shadows in Twilight Princess. So this game has a lot of parallels with Twilight Princess. And remember, in both games, you play as a wolf. You can play as a wolf. Yeah. We're playing as Wolf right now, in fact.
Ooh, I don't have a lot of supernova. Hold on a second. I'm sorry I keep going into my menu to give myself things. I know it's really lame, but there we go. That should roughly be enough. Let me just make sure my moat kit is roughly the same as it should be, because we're on that save file. Okay, we should be good to go now. This is really critical for a series of fights that we're going to do in a sec. But Monster, I'll let you kind of explain what's going on here.
So basically, the sequence of events is we fight some bosses we fight some minions, and then we can. Oh right. So we're doing like a little cheese strat. Basically, until we fight the minions that are below us, these fairies are kind of inactive, and we can just kind of damage them, but they can't die yet because they're inactive.
Oh, I missed my
You
shot.
didn't. Yeah, you didn't hit your shot.
You hate to see it.
There you go. You have to hit them with Roberta at least once because lore-wise, Fiora's Rod like breaks their power. I mean, we don't actually have Fiora's Rod, but the game doesn't care. It still breaks their invincibility.
Yeah, so they're not actually gonna die quite yet. I can only put them like down to super low. They can't actually die until we hit a specific cutscene trigger. So here we go. And then I'm gonna go for a displacement ledge fly here. This looks good. Nice, I got it first try. That one has a bit more of a complicated input scheme to it. But we've got a bit of a scary fight here. Oh, heck. There you go. Good, okay. We'll rock with this.
This fight can also be the killer of run sometimes, I guess. I have on multiple occasions actually died during this run. I mean, you can recover from dying because if you die, the game will just switch you to Roberta, but it gets a lot harder if you're stuck with Roberta because currently Roberta has, not the rest of the game, just until you get into Fairyland, but Roberta currently has like the crappiest wand. So,
yeah, her damage, even then, like her damage output is just super low. Ooh, he almost hit me. These brutes do a pretty big chunk of damage, so I have to be a little bit careful. Moat management is also super crucial here, something we didn't really mention, because there's just not enough time to explain everything that goes on in this game. Several of the bosses don't actually use moat durability, which is kind of hilarious, but these enemies do. And so we're swapping between several different types of moats to conserve our supernova and nova moats, because they are very critical for the final boss fight. So,
I mean, like, they're not, like, essential. If you, for some reason, by some miracle of chance, don't have a Nova or Supernova mode, then you can kill one of the red minions, the Darkest Fairy spawns, and it'll give you a Nova mode, and you can use that to reflect her shots. But, like, you know, it's better to not lose a lot of time.
Yeah. So this part I actually have to be a bit careful here because I need to
not die.
I need to not die.
Well, actually,
yeah.
I mean, if you die, you just have to do it as Tor, like for like 5 more.
Cool.
There you go.
That's quick though. All right, let's see if we got any status elements.
So coming up is the part where the Darkest Fairy steals Fiora's Rod away, just like how in Twilight Princess, Zant steals the Fused Shadows. When this happens, the game will downgrade us to the wand we had previously. I mean, and by that I mean it always downgrades us to the exact same wand, which is the wand that's right before you get Fiora's Rod.
This door is locked.
Just load into Fiora's library.
Yeah. That is which one? That's 9A. Okay. So I have like a spreadsheet that Monster created up on one of my other tabs that basically has a list of memory addresses for loading the various
addresses, but okay.
Well,
they're indexes into an array, I guess.
Okay, cool. But yeah, that's locked because we did some hacking magic,
cheating.
I guess. But do not be alarmed. Everything is fine. This run's been a bit of a disaster, but I hope you all are at least enjoying this. It's always fun to play this game in front of other people.
Yeah. So this place, technically, because we cheated, we skipped the part where this place falls into darkness. So yeah, that's why there's a bunch of characters here that shouldn't be. Okay, good, the door's open.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we might have a problem here.
You'll notice that the game just like flashed white, so what happened there is that the game loaded in a new skybox. Yeah, there's no reason to do so. It just does that for no reason, because it just loads from one skybox to another skybox that looks exactly the same. So yeah, that's fun.
So we gotta do a quick puzzle right here. It's left, left, right, same thing every time. And now we can go enter the last act, which is Act 4. So we skipped a whole giant chunk of game, regardless of the cheaty shenanigans we had to do to unsoft up ourselves. But now we're in Altador, which is like actually casually a really big and pretty cool area of the game. But we're gonna be doing, spoiler warning, almost none of it.
Yeah, basically, Act 4 ends and begins in the same place, so we just kind of go straight from the beginning to the end by going out of bounds and skipping to the end.
Yeah.
Which means we do none of this.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because we just got this, like, a really powerful wand, and we're not going to use it at all.
Yep. So, what I did there is I actually slashed my sword, similar to OOT and MM. If you slash your sword, it will prevent you, in most cases, from falling off a ledge. So we do that to position ourselves in a very specific spot to get a ledge fly that will angle us downwards enough to hit the floor and cancel it. Otherwise, you'll just float into infinity, and if I didn't have the hack pack loaded, it would just crash the game. Monster actually put in a little Easter egg that prevents that from happening.
Yes.
But
instead of crashing the game, the mod will say uwu and other such degenerate things.
So I did another ledge fly right there. That one's a little bit scary because if you fall into a certain pit, it's a game over. But now what I'm doing is I keep the come on. Hello? Thank you. Is I keep the Moat Quick Select open while using R2 to attack. I'm doing a very poor job of it. But essentially that allows me to keep running and attacking and quickly swap modes. And that lets me do this super fast. And then I equip Supernova and on both my sword and shield for the final boss. So we've already skipped all of Act 4, pretty much. And now we've just got final boss to do. Yeah, we've got an epic boss fight coming up here. So just turn around for a cutscene. It's revealed that all these various characters who seemed rather inconspicuous were actually these Altadorian legends, apparently, that we just never knew about. And now it's time for epic final boss battle. So, Monster, I guess if you want to explain how this works, you can.
Yeah, you reflect a shot, do a 3-hit combo, and then just do that 2 more times, and then you switch to Roberta, and then you shoot her down, and then you throw the stone-causing thingy at her, and then she turns into stone. Yeah.
Oh, she made an enemy. Interesting. Oh, come on. I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, we skipped some really great voice acting. I guess I'll try to do like a impression. It's falling! Yes, and when it lands, all of Fairyland and Maritel will be obliterated. Yes, this game has the best voice acting.
I can just not damage the DF right now. Please? There we go. There we go.
There we go.
So, there we go. There's our epic boss fight. Because she managed to spawn in an extra enemy, it completely... Roberta's lock-on is nothing short of horrible. So it can be a bit of a nightmare there. But we've made it to the end of the run by some miracle. It's been a bit of an adventure compared to standard runs, but I hope you all found that fun.
Yes.
Time will be coming up in a little bit. After this cutscene, we'll have one more cutscene that will fade out into black and 2. Once the fade out is triggered and we lose control of Roberta, that's when time is. So get ready on time, I guess, if it even matters. Time.
I would like to mention one more time, after all of the Twilight Princess comparisons I have made, that this game was released an entire year before Twilight Princess.
Such a goofy little game. But I hope you all enjoyed that. That was Any Percent. I don't know how we're doing in terms of estimate because of what happened, but if we do have a little bit of extra time, I can show off some silly glitches.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up too much time if we're too far behind.
We're like a tiny bit ahead. I'm just gonna let you go until I get told to cut you off.
Okay, cool. We can skip this cutscene and
So the first thing we might want to do is actually look into that upwarp. I have a theory as to what's
do that
possible.
right now. We should probably do that off.
Yeah, but then you can show off the zone map.
Yeah. Well, I can still show off the zone map in a second. Why is it not
Fair
letting me
enough.
skip the credits? Should I just restart the game?
Yeah. Luckily, the mod is already loaded, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, these credits you cannot skip, unfortunately.
But you can skip the final cutscene, which really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I guess at this point we'll just do a couple of shoutouts. Shoutouts to Charles, who's a rather new runner of this game, for perpetuating the no cloak meme. Also, big shoutouts to Cole. Cole was like the original runner of this game and found like so much tech. He was the one who found ledge flying. He was really the person who got people interested in speedrunning this game. So can't thank him enough for all the stuff he's contributed to this game. He was also just a homie. Shout out Midwest Speed Fest. Shout out Speedrun Rochester, my local crew. And shout out Monster for joining on the commentary. But if we have time after these credits decide to finish, I have some potentially very silly things to show off.
Yeah, this game has like a lot of unused areas and unused music and stuff, and yeah.
There's also a couple of funny glitches that aren't exactly useful, or there are some that are useful but not really applicable to this category. The big thing we're working on right now as a community is a all bosses category, where you go around and kill each of the bosses individually before beating the game. So there's a lot. Some of them you already saw. You saw Nerfus, you saw the Darkest Faerie, obviously you saw the Three Sisters. But there's a couple more fights that are kind of silly. And a couple of areas that are really fun to sequence break into in that sort of speedrun. So, yeah. And like I said, if you're interested in running this game at all, it's really easy to get into. So yeah, just feel free to, we have a Discord that's on speedrun.com if you want to join. You don't have to like end up running the game if you just want to hang out and chill. It's pretty comfy in there.
Yeah. This is also the place where we theory craft our favorite ideas for the remake that will probably never happen.
Yeah. Dude, these credits just do not want to end. I probably should have just restarted my game.
Yeah, you probably should have just restarted.
Oh, it's some cost fallacy at this point.
Yeah.
Oh no.
But hey, it gave me time for shoutouts, so. Yeah.
Yes. Make sure to put your upgamers in the chat
And
Yeah.
E.
E and Upgamers are the two. Upgamer and E are the two things that belong in the chat of Jaxler. And make sure to remind Jaxler that no cloak is the superior category that he should
I don't know
run.
about that.
No, you need to run no cloak.
Can I interrupt you two real quick?
Go for it.
We just got a $47 anonymous donation that says Unravel is cool, and so is Black Yarn, and that is referring to the next run with its bid war. Little quick update on that. Black is in the lead with $117 to Blue and Magenta's $116. That is the next run. Get your donations in for that. But more importantly, we have just passed $4,500 right.
Yes, let's go! I was hoping that we would get there by the end of the run. All right, now the credits are done.
You can see Chow's in the chat plugging no cloak. You see, there's like two of us and one of you supporting. So yeah, no cloak is the superior category.
All right, so to start off this little mini glitch exhibition, I guess, I'm gonna load in an unknown location. This is I actually set up the save file with Monsters Hack Pack. One of the things you can actually do is save anywhere, so I used it to save in this debug level that was left in the game's files, but is normally inaccessible. So there's all this geometry that they use for testing, but what I'm going to use this space for is to show off a glitch that I didn't go for in the run called, we don't really have a great name for it yet because it's very new, but it's a type of speed stacking. So what I'm going to do is turn on a debug feature to show coordinates. And so what you'll notice is a couple of values. Yeah, go ahead, Monster.
So basically, remember that mega jump that we kind of failed at earlier? We're just gonna do that, but like over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, kind of
and
like that.
Then just get a bunch of speed.
Yeah, so that light blue SPD number, that is my velocity. So this will take a little bit of concentration, but get ready for this.
It's velocity plus your running speed. So, yeah. And notice that it's going up. So yeah, I mean, one name that I've proposed is a reverse BLJ, because you're going reverse backwards, also known as forwards. I don't know. Yeah.
I'm a fan.
Yeah. Oh, you'll notice a purple value that says GRV. That means gravity, and that's the gravity multiplier. It's set to 0.3. So when you jump, that gets set to 0.3, and when you land from a jump, that gets set to 0.1. I mean, sorry, it gets set to 1. But if you grab a ledge before you land from the jump, it will actually stay at 0.3. So you can actually... This trick requires you to have low gravity before you start it, because when you jump, it actually doesn't set your gravity to 0.3 until the frame after your jump. And this cloak thing, it actually interrupts the jump immediately after it happens, so it doesn't have a chance to set the gravity to 0.3.
Yeah, so now we should be, you can see that I can't even turn the camera around Tor properly because we're sliding so fast that it's struggling to turn the camera around. But there's the skybox. That's how quickly we got out of bounds, or super far out of bounds. To give you an idea of how fast we were going, Tor's base running speed without any modifiers is like this 9.6 value. So at a good chunk into that, we were going about roughly 10 times Tor's normal running speed. Yeah, we're already out of the skybox now. So that's speed stacking. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the coordinates, and okay, I need to look up a couple of array values. It should be 3C. So we're going to load in a different map here. So one of the features of this save file. Oh, are you cutting me off now?
Just make this the last one.
Okay, yeah, no, this one's the funniest one. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing something very specific where I load into the abandoned mines. Now, this is something we normally do in the speedrun, So we load into the mines, and then we're actually going to now that I've done this, I'm to speed things up. I'm gonna load in 2F. Now 2F, the Ixie Chieftain fight that you saw at the very beginning of the run is actually fought twice casually. You fight him at some point in Act 1 and like we did in Act 3. But if you happen to go to the abandoned mines first and then go visit the Act 1 fight, this will happen. So this load will put us right in front. And there's the boss in the distance. And you'll see he's just kind of spinning out. So he is really confused. We're not exactly sure what's happening here. But I'm gonna go ahead and kill these enemies real quick, so I can show you something really funny with this guy.
Yeah, this game is very well programmed. Yeah. You should totally show off my mod wooing you.
No, I don't think we have time, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, but...
Fortunately.
Come on. I have to get these folks out of the way or else what I'm about to show you doesn't work properly. There we go. Yeah, so basically he's trying to path to me as if he's like the Act 3 version of the boss fight. So depending on where you stand, he'll just start like spinning in place like a Beyblade. But the funniest thing that happens is what happens if you walk over to the left.
Oh, same.
Yeah, he vibrates incredibly hard and he makes a very funny sound. Now, here, I'll show it off for a little bit longer. There's a way you can make him go even louder. Oh, that's a really funny variation of the sound. Now, depending on how you manipulate him, if you get him like in the very back of his little room, he can be really, really angry. I'm gonna try. Oh, did he just go out of bounds? No.
Yeah, after this.
I died anyway. Yeah. Oh well. Too bad.
Open up the zone map after this.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go.
All
right.
Yeah. Sorry for taking up too much time, but thank you all for watching the showcase. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great run. Yeah, you even handled this offline pretty well, I'd say. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good luck with the rest of the marathon, everyone.
Thanks. Stay tuned, everyone.
Up, gamer.